You don't talk about Nordic high jumpers on a daily basis.
And you're just like slapping it. Like, I challenge you to a duel.
This week, we welcome Will from the Red Treehouse Podcast to discuss signs. Will, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's you guys are one of my favorite shows, so this is kind of a big deal for me.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your show, The Red Treehouse?
Yeah, so the Red Treehouse is basically me narrating scary stories to keep you up at night. Although I think at this point, 250 episodes in, I am doing the opposite for a lot of people. I think I'm putting people to sleep, and I don't know what to do about it.
You need to stop having such a soothing voice.
Yeah, exactly.
I could growl.
Yeah, maybe like gargle or something weirdly, like beforehand, just to kind of rough it up a little
bit.
Smoke
a whole pack of cigarettes in 30 minutes.
Yeah, damage your health for the craft.
Oh man, it's it's for the cause, right?
Right.
Blood, sweat, and tears. But yeah, it's I cover everything from nonfiction stories, right? Cases of possession, exorcism, hauntings, cryptids, alien abductions, all these things. And then here recently, especially, I've gotten a slew of original short horror stories written by listeners who have said, hey, I would love for you to narrate it. And I want to say from episode 200 to now, 251, way more than half of them have been original submitted stories. So that's been really cool to sort of have people entrust me with their work and hopefully turn out something that's good.
That's really cool, though. I've narrated a little bit for BTB every now and then, and it's always like you want to do it justice, but also it's a little bit of a stressor too, because you're like, I hope this is how they picture this sounding.
Oh, the worst part of my day after I hit publish is between the minute after it's published and the handful of hours between like when they listen and then they message me and are like, hey, that was great. Like I've never gotten negative feedback, but like those 6 or 7 or 8, 10 or 12 hours are like, ugh. Well, I guess they hate me now. That's why they haven't. That's why they haven't messaged.
Oh no!
But inevitably, it's been it's wild, and I think they take the longest to record because I'm constantly mindful of like, yeah, I didn't like my inflection there, or I didn't like how I missed the sort of the tone of that sentence, right? And so, I don't know. They take twice as long as like just me reading my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I sympathize. I restarted 1,000 times for the last one I did.
Oh man, the struggle is real. In the podcasting world.
Yeah,
for sure.
Kudos to you because I could barely read anything without stumbling. So the fact you could do it so smoothly and get it like it's really good.
There's still no method to my madness. It's mostly just me sitting in front of this mic. Like I think that's okay for today. We're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah.
All you can do is try.
It's true.
Do you have a particular episode or a couple episodes that you really like that you would recommend people to either start with or check out?
Yeah. So if you're someone who, and I get a lot of folks who are like, hey, I like spooky stories, but I don't like anything too scary, or I don't like anything in this sort of realm. I would say stay away from all of the demonic possession stories because I go like all in on those. So if, as far as like setting up an atmosphere and with the storytelling, those are going to be probably the most intense. If you're someone that loves intensity, then definitely start. There's probably 12 to 15 possession stories. Definitely start there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone who likes less intensity, I would say anything related to cryptids or urban legends. Those tend to be a little bit more, not whimsical, but way less intense. And then any of the listener submitted stories are always just a good, like they're fun. They're fun to read. They're fun to narrate. They're fun to listen to. If I had to pick one single episode, just one, oh Lord, I would say my personal favorite episode is episode 199. Sorry, episode 198, the Red Barn Murder. It's it's sort of a whodunit, right? It's a really like tragic case, but really it's a metaphor or a story of, it's a real story of shitty men being really shitty to undeserving like women. Like these women don't deserve the treatment they received, right? And so there's a part of that episode where I talk about that and how historically these things have played out, and this story unfortunately is no different. But that was one of my favorites to tell because midway through I realized, hey, wait a minute, this is not just a story about a woman who was tragically murdered. This is really something deepper than that. And so it gave me a sort of an opportunity to speak to some of that. So yeah,
I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I love a whodunit energy, but obviously
it's definitely
tragic
that
when the murder is actually involved. But
yeah, it's a rough story for sure.
All right, before we dive into the movie, just want to tell everyone where they could find your podcast.
Oh yeah, you guys can find it anywhere. Spotify, Apple Pods tend to be the big ones. I have a YouTube channel. It's just me, the RSS feed connected to my audio uploads. I'm ambivalent with YouTube, so if you listen there, awesome. If you don't, probably won't know for a while. So, but definitely wherever you stream pods, just type in the Red Treehouse. It is literally the only show with that name in existence. I lucked out there, but maybe not because there's nothing like it. So you really have to go looking for it. So yeah, search there. And then on the socials, you can find me at Instagram, Threads, on TikTok, Red Treehouse Pod across the board. I'm pretty active on Instagram and Threads, also ambivalent with TikTok. I think it's because I'm old. And it's just
TikTok is a very strange creature, honestly.
It really is.
Signs is a 2002 science fiction horror film directed by M. Night Shyamalan. The plot follows a widowed father and his children who, after discovering crop circles, events escalate into a terrifying alien invasion that tests his faith and his family's bond. So, Will, you decided on this movie, so just curious, why? Why Signs?
I've been thinking about this a lot, guys.
Okay.
And I think it's because, for one thing, M. Night, when he first released movies from like 98, 99 to 2004 or 5, he was just at the top of the game, right? Sixth Sense, Signs, The Village were just terrific movies. Mm-hmm. And I think Signs was his best movie. I think The Sixth Sense was his most beautiful film, but I think Signs was his best one. I've seen this movie so many times. The jump scare in the middle of the movie is still one of the best ever with the alien reveal. But I think maybe it's because I've gotten older and I have kids who are teenagers now. I think I understand the movie differently, or I see the movie differently. At first, I thought it was a movie about faith and, Graham, who's lost his faith after the death of his wife. But I think it's more than that. I was excited to talk about that part potentially. So,
Stephanie, now for you, was this your first time seeing Signs?
It was. I actually did a play in college very similar to this called Dark Matters, and I got the role of the sheriff, honestly, and I had a lot of lines just because I told the director I didn't believe in aliens because it helped me sleep at night. And she thought that was very funny. And also just, I don't know, I can bring a creepy energy when I want to. So I had to do a really low gravelly voice. So I was going on a trip all the time. And by the end of the play, everyone was convinced that I was the alien who had abducted the character's mom in the show. So it was very interesting. I mean, it wasn't revealed, and I was awesome. That's not in the script, but if you think I'm an alien, I guess that's okay.
So we have Will, who thinks this is his best movie. I really like Signs as well. Stephanie, what did you think about it?
I liked it. I will say I just don't typically gravitate towards alien movies, so I wasn't really expecting a ton. But out of the Shyamalan stuff I have seen, I do like this pretty close up to Sixth Sense. I think Sixth Sense would be my favorite. Sorry, Will, but over this one. But I like this one a lot. I just, it's just the wording of the script really gets me sometimes. I'm like, there's no way you would say this. Those, let's see, what do they call, what'd she say? Those Nordic high jumpers from the Olympics, they can jump clear over me.
How certain are you that this was a male? I've seen some of those women on the Olympics.
This guy got on our roof in like a second. Our roof is 10 feet high.
They have women's high jumping in the Olympics. They got these Scandinavian women who can jump clean over me.
Bullshit?
Caroline?
Wait, you're saying you don't talk about Nordic high jumpers on a daily basis?
I don't think I'd lead with an investigation with that assumption.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
When thinking aliens, think Nordic
That's
high
true.
jumpers.
In where is the movie set also? Like they're in the middle of nowhere. So
It's Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Is it?
okay.
Funny enough, it was filmed on location where the movie actually takes place.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
remember the exact county, but it's in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania somewhere.
That's
Was it even in an Olympic year? That's what I want to know.
2002. I don't know. Unfortunately, wait, 2002
might have
Olympic.
been
Oh yeah,
a
Winter Olympic. There were Winter
Winter
Olympics that
Olympics.
year.
Yeah,
all
I
right,
think it was
all
a
right.
Winter Olympic year. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give him
It's-
that. He was accurate.
Okay, it was on theme. Interesting.
Though Nordic high jumping, I think would be a summer Olympic Games, right? That'd be track and field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Unless they were on skis. That's a whole different...
Now we're just picking apart
It
this
just
very
gets worse.
specific
It's
moment.
like, wait, what was their activity again?
Yeah, Stephanie and I kind of share the sentiment that we both aren't like huge space fans,
I'm the same.
aliens fans. However, I really like Signs in the sense of it's an invasion movie, but it's not, you don't see the grand scope. You follow this family in a very narrow lens, which doesn't make it feel like a typical invasion movie to me.
Yeah, I think that's when M. Night is probably at his best, when the scope of the movie is smaller, maybe more intimate. I think as he got obviously a bigger name, right? Bigger box office draw, the movies became more expansive, and I think they weren't his best work. Not that he's not talented, because he's super talented, but I think his storytelling is best suited for sort of this intimate portrayal of a family or an individual or a small group of people. I think it's what made The Sixth Sense so effective was, you're following basically three people, right, from start to finish. And then with Signs, it's just this tiny family on this isolated nowhere farm. And there's so much other stuff happening, but you don't need to see the other stuff to be affected by it. I also am not a lover of alien movies, or I think I even said this when I guested on Believing the Bizarre, that of all the paranormal phenomena, that like aliens are the least interesting to me.
Yeah, you know why I think that is? I feel like I believe in aliens. There's got to be life somewhere. So
For
it's
sure.
because I'm like leaning towards that it's real, that's less interesting to me, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, well, yeah, of course there's life out there. But I will say, on the flip side of the coin, part of the reason I don't like space and stuff is because it absolutely terrifies me. It's scary on one hand, but I'm also like not wanting to engage in that material usually.
Oh, I can't even think of which one it was. I think there was like a Sandra Bullock movie like
Gravity?
many years ago. Yeah. And she was stuck in space in her ship for quite some time. And I was like, I can't imagine like being in the vastness of space and then also feeling so isolated. That's always a no for me.
If we covered that movie, like I'm telling you right now, 13 out of 13, I
Just
could
location.
barely breathe. Yeah, just letting you know. Spoiler alert. We ever do Gravity. Not a fan.
I'm super ambivalent to space. So like my favorite movie of all time is Interstellar, which is kind of ironic. But
That is a little ironic. Yeah.
Aside from like, I don't even know what to do with that, in the discussion. But, for some reason, the idea, like, it took me forever to watch The Martian. There's just something about it that's like, yeah, it's super interesting, but I'll watch it tomorrow. And then tomorrow turns into a week and, on and on.
So, Will, I was just curious, like, your history with Signs. Have you seen it a ton? Have you seen it like a long time ago? Came back to it? Like, what's your history on that?
Yeah, so it came out in 2002. I would have been a senior in high school at the time. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it in theaters, because I felt like for a long time, for years, horror movies it was sort of like this desert landscape for horror movies. Like you had Scream in 96, a couple of sprinklings here and there, but then for the most part, like there just wasn't really anything great that had come out. You had The Sixth Sense in 99, you had Signs in 2002, I think you had The Ring in 2002 as well. And so I was on this like binge of, so that was sort of the context. At the same time, I think I was sort of going through, and this is where I say, I think I understand or interpret the movie differently now than I did then when I first saw it. Because at 17, 18, when the movie came out, I was sort of going through my own crisis of faith and identity. I was a young adult, right? And so what am I, who am I? What am I going to do? Where's my life going? Like, is this all for shit anyway? Like, what is the, and so you go through this like existential crisis a little bit. And so when the movie came out, I remember my parents were like, such a great movie. It's, super encouraging. And I'm like, no, the movie was not.
Quite the opposite.
It's an end of the world movie. Like, we don't know what happens after. We don't know what happens, right? There's no like to be continued. And so you're left to draw your own conclusions. And they're like, well, everybody, their faith was restored. And it's like, yeah, but for what? What was if the point is just faith for itself, like, why does that matter? Right. And so I remember going through this like super angsty post-grunge phase.
Yeah.
What is going on? So I think that was my initial history, but then it sort of fell off my radar for a while. Time goes on and that kind of thing. But here recently, in the last couple of years, I've watched some of the classics that I really, really grew up enjoying. And I think of the movie very differently now. I still see it as a story of faith, but even more than that, I think it's a movie about self-acceptance almost, and like a sense of like accepting who you are, right? Because if you really think about each character individually, the only one that has any semblance of confidence in who they are is Rory Culkin's character.
Yeah.
He's the only one, right? He's sort of like this go-between, but for everybody, right?
Yeah.
He talks sense into this person and that person. He encourages Meryl and Bo, right? Like, he's the one who is self-assured.
My vote counts as 2.
That's bullshit. You're cheating.
Morgan, calm down. I get 2 votes because I represent 2 parents here.
We don't know anything yet. We'll be safe here anyway. There are pictures. Dr. Bimbu, one of the authors of the book.
Bimbu?
Dad.
I just asked his name.
You had a tone.
Whereas every other character is sort of in their own, bad pun, but in their own space, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling with things, regrets and doubts and worries and fears and anxieties and, stressors and this and that, guilt. And so for me, the movie really leads us down a path, sure, of faith, but maybe a sense of acceptance of who we are individually, who we are uniquely. And to me, that's a beautiful narrative for M. Night to have explored, especially with his second, like his first movie was just The Sixth Sense. So I love it.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful horror movie. It's a beautiful film. I think Signs is maybe a half step more mature in the conversation of what he's trying to do and telling stories of people than The Sixth Sense. That's my history. Then and now.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think of it that way in the, self-acceptance route, but you make a good point where like Rory Culkin's character, what's his name? Morgan almost has it together more than the father, more than the uncle. I mean, his little sister. He's like, okay, guys, like, what are we doing? Like, this is what we need to do. Right. And he almost like takes charge. That's a really interesting point.
I got a book. We're going to record it.
Right. He's got the VCR ready and the VHS going. And
Right. The one criticism I did hear about this is that the kids act like adults and the adults act like children is for this.
But you know what, though?
I think that's true.
I could definitely see that. But in a sense, I mean, when, like, not to draw any conclusions about absent parents or anything, because I don't necessarily think he is an absent father, but with the tragedy of the mother, sometimes the kid has to play the role of the parent, especially in times of trauma and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I do agree that they do talk a little bit probably more maturely than is realistic. But as far as acting like an adult, I think how old is he? Maybe 10, 12 range?
Yeah, I would guess
I would think so.
10.
I don't know. I was never like too, like thought that they were acting too far outside of the realm of possibility.
Well, I wasn't saying like he was like gathering everybody and saying, how are we going to pay the mortgage this month?
Oh, yeah, no.
But yeah, like, I don't know. He has a maturity about him, not like unusual, but different from what you expect, I guess.
Yeah. I guess that kind of leads me to one of the questions I had is they do have some quirks, especially bow with the water and stuff. And obviously that comes to play a bigger meaning. But also she several times mentions her dreams. Like, this happened in my dreams. Are you in my dream?
Are you in my dream too?
This is not a dream.
Do you guys have any theories on what that means?
Oh,
Because I don't want to go like the psychic route, because that's just like low hanging fruit to me. But with like the mom mentioning swing away and the dreams, is it just, again, the coincidence versus signs kind of a situation where she might just think she's dreaming and it doesn't actually mean anything bigger than that?
I don't know. I think I've always chalked it up to that conversation that Graham and Meryl have on the couch, where Graham concludes, we are utterly alone, right? Like, that's his whole mantra. There's no one coming to save us. Like, we're all basically effed. That's it, right? The end of the world is here, and that's what it is. Meryl then relays the story of like how he avoided the kiss where he almost got thrown up in, right? Like, it's this sort of whimsical thing. And so I think there's a part of, I've always thought of bows like aversion to water or drinking water or the water tasting stale or old, whatever it was, as tying into that sort of like the idea of signs having a double meaning, right? That there's the signs that we obviously see and understand and like are visceral to us. We know, we can interpret, or at least we can like consider. And then there are signs that we don't realize till maybe later when we look back, right? Hindsight's 20/20. And we look back and we're like, holy shit, like, what the hell? Like, that can't be coincidence. That had to have been right? Like, I think about all the times where that's happened for me, and it's like, what the hell's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I've always thought of it that way. I don't know. Is it a question of like providence? Is it a question of like divine intervention? People who view the movie as a metaphor for faith would say, yeah, this is like, the divine sort of reaching down and allowing for some measure of hope, the water representing hope. Could be. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Steph, what about you? Any thoughts on that?
I am on sort of the side of destiny, I guess, with the whole bow situation. I do think that when Graham talks to his wife for the final time, when she's dying, I thought it was surprising she didn't mention that Bo should also have millions of glasses of a quarter of the way full water around the house. But it must be a thing that she was probably doing at that time. So no use to tell her because she's already doing it. But yeah, I feel like maybe it was like the whole purpose, like the mom had to die to give him this message, and Bo had to have this aversion to drinking stale water to be able to fight off the aliens. I don't know if this justifies this family losing a parental figure or anything, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of how I read into it, that they're basically saying that the mom had to die, so then she would give them enough warning to save themselves from the aliens.
That's so tough.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because, like, if we think about it, okay, realistically, she died to tell him to attack the aliens with a bat. Like, I would think that could be a conclusion you could come to yourself. Like, it wasn't this divine prophecy that she kind of foretold. She's like, swing away. Yeah, I would think I would have to attack an alien if it was kidnapping my kid. Like, I would see the
you
bat.
You just have an oven mitt and you're just like slapping it. Like, I challenge you to a duel.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where I struggle with it, because it wasn't this big thing that she foretold or anything. She was just like, swing away. Like, yeah, if you have my kid, I'm gonna attack you. Like, I didn't need my wife to die to tell me that.
Right.
So,
also, a big mistake on the aliens' part. They came to a planet with a strong aversion to wood, apparently, and water. So they looked at this big blue planet full of woods and was like, that seems fun. Let's go there.
70% of the planet is water, right? Something like that?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and the part that is land is like significantly wood. I guess that's true. I guess it's a really dumb move. Well, fine. They got what they deserved then.
Yeah. Exactly. And then another issue, I guess, not even really an issue. It's just, okay, great. This family had these signs that led them to survive. But what about like everyone else who suffered? Like, why this family and not that family? Like, we don't obviously get any kind of answer to that. So I was curious your guys' thoughts on that kind of approach. there's people who presumably died during this. Why didn't they get any kind of sign?
Just guessing, I would say it was just to lead Graham back to his faith. He knew he'd need like a little extra attention, and maybe that would lead him back to faith after. But yeah, that's the only assumption I can make, whether right or wrong.
It's a really interesting question. And oh man, it's like, what made this family special, right? Like that they were chosen, right? And it almost, I hate to say it this way, but taking the faith idea to maybe the next step or half step would be, it's sort of like Noah's Ark almost, right? That they, this farm representing the ark, right? Safety, the sense of like, hey, we have the answer to the problem. The world out there is being flooded, right? Or aliens are invading around us, but we're safe in this little sanctuary because like we know how to handle this. I guess you could say that would be the case, but that also, the fatalism in that is really difficult to grapple with, right? It's like, we'll save them, but F everybody else. Like, you guys aren't,
Right.
And we know that it was a worldwide thing because the video was from like Brazil, right? Where the alien jumped out of the bushes and scared the shit out of me because I wasn't expecting that. Like, at the same time, on a storytelling level, I feel like the just zeroing in on Graham and his family is probably the biggest strength of the movie.
Yeah.
Rather than expanding the storyline outward and outward and outward. We're given little glimpses of what could be going on, in other places, little snapshots here and there. But I think the movie would have been infinitely worse.
Oh, for sure.
It would have been a War of the Worlds kind of, and War of the Worlds was great, but it would have taken that approach. And I think M. Night did a good job of sort of zeroing in and saying, hey, because I think what it also does is, whether we like it or not, I think it forces us to see ourselves in the individual characters, right? We're not wrestling with an expansive cast of 10 main characters and 20 secondary characters and 100 extras, right? We're dealing with a family, right? A dad who experiences loss like many of us have, right? The uncertainty of raising kids and big cataclysmic things happening that are outside of our, like, there is some real life, real like ground level questions that the movie deals with that I think we could probably see ourselves in. So I sometimes look at movies, like categorize movies in two ways. It's like some movies are a window where we're looking out into the world and just sort of exploring that. And then some movies are a mirror where we're looking back at ourselves and sort of reconciling some of the questions that come up as we watch. And to me, Signs, The Sixth Sense and Signs are both mirror horror movies where we look out and holy shit, I see myself right there in the reflection.
Yeah. And I think for me, Signs, the aliens are secondary to the story. Like, you could have plopped in really any kind of thing going on and still kept the meaning. Especially because another criticism I have is I think the end shows too much alien. Throughout the movie, you barely see them. And I think that's a huge strength. And then at the end, when he has to like hit him with the bat, I think that's where it kind of dips for me. But you could just plop any kind of danger that the family's facing. Like the aliens isn't.
And it still could have had the same message.
Yeah. Which I think is a good thing. It's
interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. 100, because I think if I remember right, Knock at the Cabin is an M. Night movie. It came out in 2023, and it has similar undertones in some ways, right, to Signs.
I was actually thinking about it when you mentioned it, like how Signs is very intimate and personal, and I thought Knock at the Cabin Door is kind of the opposite. Like, it is intimate in how they're experiencing it, but all of their actions lead to consequences outside of them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's similar but super different in the direction he goes in. But it also, I was one of maybe the few people that really liked Knock at the Cabin. I know it got a ton of criticism for being weird and strange and, all this, but I thought it was a sort of a return to form in some ways, that sort of isolated storytelling, right? But you're right. If the danger in Knock at the Cabin are other people, right? It's still the end of the world kind of situation, but instead of aliens invading, it's Dave Bautista, like his crew of bad guys.
So this is like a really random thing that happened and a reaction I had to watching this movie. There's this part where they're watching the UFOs on the TV and they mention how the footage is not changed or doctored.
You are seeing a live feed from our affiliate down here in Mexico City. This image has not been adjusted or enhanced in any way. What you're seeing is real. It's unbelievable.
And in my mind, if that happened today, I feel like people would assume it's AI or it's not true. Did anyone else have that thought? Like their initial snap was like, no one would believe this.
As soon as I saw you had that in the notes, I could imagine the post on X of how or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, of this clip, and everyone would be like, Grok, is this real?
The community notes would be out of control. Right?
Yeah.
Like the gatekeeping. And, it's weird to say that maybe the 90s and the early 2000s were the good old days, right? Where VHS was what it was. And you could tell if footage was doctored because not a lot of people could mess with a VHS, right? In reasonable ways. Whereas now, oh man, there's just so much AI just trash that's out there all over the place.
I feel like even if they had it entirely, we pinky promise that it's completely true, everyone would still fight it. Yeah.
And it's tough when you have to sift through it to find just a measure of truth, So yeah, I definitely had the thought, and there's a part of me that wants to watch. I wish I could get my hands on a copy. Wants to watch Signs on VHS the way I did way back in yesteryear. I'm old, guys. I'm like, get off my lawn.
Yeah, I just brought that up. Not that it has anything to do with the plot or theming of the movie, but just how, what's 24 years late? Oh God, 24 years later. How
24.
different that probably would have been received to people.
I just had a hard time thinking, when I recalled the play and stuff, that was over 10 years ago. I was like, oh, I was in college over 10 years ago. That's terrible. But
there's kind of a parallel, right? With, if I remember right, towards the end of the year, beginning of the new year, there was that thing that was allegedly a spaceship that turned out to be a part of a do you remember that? Where they were do you remember seeing that? It was some
the giant
object
drone
in
thing?
deep space that was coming around the sun.
Maybe
I guess.
I don't know.
It looks like a.
So many crazy things happen in the news cycle anymore. I'm just I wake up to the new thing and I'm like, yeah, sounds right.
Everything's on fire. It's fine.
Yeah. I know that it might have been the year before, but there was the drones, over New Jersey, the giant ones, they were the size of SUVs, I think.
Yeah.
But that might have been the year before.
People in New Jersey are concerned and demanding information after a wave of mysterious drone sightings. But the government has yet to give any concrete answers. One lawmaker is calling for a state of emergency, while another has an ominous theory about a foreign adversary.
So I did want to talk about that scene. And Will, you mentioned it a couple times already, where we see the alien kind of walk around the bushes. Stephanie, this is specific to you. Had you seen that clip before the movie?
Yes.
Oh, yes, damn. Okay, because I remember watching this for the first time, and that scared the shit out of me. And a lot of people nowadays will always talk about how it's overrated. And I'm like, no, that is terrifying. I don't care.
I love watching the uncle yell at the kids on the screen, move, vamonos.
Move, children. Vamonos.
The jump scare for me actually happened in the cornfield where it's right behind him. That gave me chills.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of knew about the party scene where he walks in between. Yeah.
This is why I don't love TikTok sometimes, because I remember making a reel a couple months back, hey, this is one of the best jump scares that you'll ever see, but you have to see within the context of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just 30-second clip and oh, that's not a big deal. But I think, especially these youngsters who are this jump scares buns, or my kids, what is buns?
Jump scare is buns?
Wait, is that a thing they say now? Wait a minute.
Yeah, my boys are oh, that was buns. And I'm like, what? It's yeah, that was trash, Dad. And it's you guys are just desensitized. You have access to all sorts of media now that we didn't have the same access to, 2 decades ago. And again, me being old, like, get off my lawn. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about because you're young and I'm old. Oh my God, what is happening to me in real life, in real time? I will never forget sitting in the theater, not knowing what to expect, knowing that it was going to come. We were going to eventually have the reveal. But then to like see it as quickly, the timing of that scene is off just enough that your expectations sort of lower and then it like happens.
Yeah.
And that's what catches you off guard, right? Doesn't happen at like the crescendo of the music. It's in this lull of like, what is happening here? Very quickly, Yeah, I remember very well. I think I'm pretty sure I like yelled, "Oh shit." And, my parents looked at me like, "You cuss, bro? Like, that's what you do now?"
That's
Maybe.
Buns.
That's Buns. That's kind of like one of the things I noticed while watching this is a lot of the jump scares, I put in quotes, there's really no loud noise that accompanies it. There's really no music. Like the one that gets me still is when the fingers come through the bottom of the door. He just walks away, comes back, and it just happens. There's no like music. Yeah. There's no nothing. And I think it's just, to me, so much more effective than loud noise or, the music gives it away. So I don't know if that was something you guys noticed as well. It's so much better to me.
Yeah, definitely in the cornfield scene, like when you like glimpse the foot or like, is it like a hand or something like that? And when he feels like he's like almost right on the back of his neck, that like the music isn't like dun 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 or anything like that. Like here it all is. It's like that creepy but whimsical, like what's going to happen?
Yeah, it happens and it's still like whimsical somehow. It doesn't ramp up. It's still that same score that before it happens. So it's just interesting.
Very unknown, I would say, like I would describe it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's, to me, again, I think it's a mark of just really good storytelling that you can build anxiety and this sort of like tension without gimmicks, right? Without like resorting to not cheap things, but I think, jump scares should be earned to some degree, right? The best ones are earned. They feel like they come after a point of like, whoa, where did that come from? It's not just the sound or the light or the noise or the monster. It's the whole like, the best jump scares are like the culmination of everything that came before it. So like this moment, oh shit. And so I think Signs, again, I wish M. Night had made 20 movies like he started out, because I think he'd be the GOAT. I mean, 20 movies like The Sixth Sense and Signs would be an unbelievable catalog, know? But, I think some of his middle movies sort of stepped away from that storytelling and sort of devolved into just the random jump scare or the random shock thing that like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you're over it,
Unfortunately, the more stuff he put out, the more I believed he'd never had a regular human conversation in his life. So
dialogue is hard.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, of course, it's hard to sound natural, but I don't know. I just feel like there's always one or two phrases that I'm like, what?
If you think about The Sixth Sense, like Cole talks like he's a 45-year-old man who lived through like the war.
Yeah.
Like,
But I could accept that because it's ghosty. It's like haunted.
He's being traumatized on a daily basis.
Yeah,
he ages 10 years every day. It's like, it's fine.
That's true. He's aging in dog years at that point. So that's right.
Well, we just covered Stephen King's It from 1992, and they use an inhaler in that one. And then they make a big deal of Morgan's asthma at like very close to the very end. And I had asthma growing up. My dad did as well. He used to tell me stories about before he had like proper medication, like inhalers and stuff that I had as a kid. Like I called them breathing treatments, but they tented his whole house when he was a kid just to like kind of cleanse the air and try to get him to breathe and open up the lungs because it's swelling. It's swelling in the lungs, like forcing them closed. So when someone nervously says like, don't let them take him, like they took my wife.
Don't do this to me again. Not again. I hate you. Believe it's going to pass.
like in someone's ear that's having an asthma attack that's trying not to panic. I don't think that really adds to it to help him. And it's more of like a meditative breathing than to be like, breathe like me. Just as I pant in your ear and tell you that I don't want you to die like your mom.
Shit. Yeah, I mean, that's a way to do it, I guess. I don't know.
I'm sure he understood the stress of the moment, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting for me. Like, I don't have asthma, so like whenever I see asthma portrayed in a movie, I like never think anything of it. So when you wrote that, I was like, I didn't even like question that. I'm like, yeah, of course this is what's going on. Very ignorant of me, but I don't have any experience in that.
Oh, I'll give myself away. I think I probably would have copied Mel Gibson in real life because I wouldn't have a point. I don't have a point of reference for it. And so I definitely think I would have looked at my kid and been like, yeah, let's breathe. Let's co-breathe. Let's, like, let's figure this out to get my lungs, your lungs, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And, but I guess that's true. That dramatic effect in the movie may not have played out really successfully in real life.
Yeah, only for those that have asthma, I guess.
Oh,
but
Lord. But it is a central point of the movie, too.
Yeah.
Like, the
yeah.
whole thing.
I thought it was also interesting that they included that he was going to use an EpiPen. And I guess, yeah, you can have asthma that's triggered from allergies. It's just not, however, how I was treated as a kid. I never used an EpiPen for anything. But
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I was like hospitalized on 9/11 too, like, and never pulled out an EpiPen for that.
Jeez.
Honestly, I'm guessing if it is allergy related, he just needs to not be on a farm.
Yeah.
It's probably just allergic to wheat.
That's true.
You're at the
This
worst
wouldn't have happened
place.
in New York City.
Yeah.
You have a slew of other problems, but not the wheat.
That's true.
Not the New York City wheat. So for our ratings, we will rate 4 aspects of the film out of 3, total that all up, and that's how we'll get our overall scary rating. So Stephanie, what did you give Signs?
I gave plot a 2. And mainly I couldn't do the full 3 just because of the clunky writing in places. And I know that's just going to always be a complaint for me with Shyamalan, but it is what it is. Suspense a 2. Because I had the jump scare ruined, but the cornfield definitely got me. Atmosphere, I don't know. I know we always argue about what's truly like atmospheric of this.
We always default to setting, which isn't quite.
Yeah, I get the isolation, but I think anytime that they leave when like they go to the man who ended up hitting the wife with his car's house, and when they go into town, I don't know. I feel like there's like a little bit of a disconnect there that like makes it a little less isolating. So I don't know. I was just taking that into account. And otherwise, it's a farm, is what it is. And villain, I gave a 1, and I did like it, so I gave it my extra special point as well. So that gave me 7.
Will, did you want to go next?
Yeah. So plot, I'm also at a 2. There are some gaps in the story that are kind of hard to overlook, like the scenes where they leave the farm. If it was just on the farm itself, I think it would be higher. But some of those outside characters don't seem to have the same sense of urgency that we see on the farm or the people on the farm. And so it's a 2 for me there. Suspense, I actually have it dropped at a 1. And I think it's because so I'll jump into the villain is also a 1. Because I think the villain is sort of anticlimactic. Like, it's not a badass. It's kind of like this thing that is easily overcome once it was easy. And I realized like easy to figure out and happenstance kind of go together in this movie. But yeah, there was just not enough bad guy for me. We know it had big claws. We know that it was like sucking the life force out of people, but we never got more than that. Like, he told us that. He didn't show us that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Right.
that was a problem.
Yeah.
But I think as far as atmosphere, I actually would give it a 3 for atmosphere. I think because I don't look at atmosphere as setting primarily. I look at it as sort of the overall vibe of the movie. What is the movie trying to do for us? I think it's his best movie in terms of that, right? In terms of giving us one-sided characters who maybe have stilted dialogue issues for sure. But those one one-note characters come together to make this like chorus or symphony of story and and plot and atmosphere. And so for me, I would give it a 3 there. So I think that's a grand total of 6, 7.
You do have an extra special
Kids will
point.
laugh at me.
Do you wanna give it your point?
Let's do that.
Hell yeah!
Because I do think it's his best movie. I think it's his best movie. So he gets a point for peaking at the second movie.
All right, so
and that's super high for M. Night, by the way.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. True.
truly it is. So I gave plot a 2. I gave suspense a 2. Atmosphere, I bumped it up from a 1 to a 2. And villain, I gave it the highest out of everyone, a 2. So 2, 2, 2. And then I did give him an extra special point for a total of 9 out of 13. So funny enough, for the villain, Will, had they not shown it at the end, like I kind of complained about, I probably would have given it a 3. I really think I would have.
Interesting.
Because I'm very much the type less is more. And the quick glimpses we get, it was great for that. And then I saw it and the shoddy CGI. I'm like, well, damn. Now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, never mind. And at the end of the day, they are pretty easily dispatched. I mean, water. It's not that
They
bad.
made a wrong turn, man. They just chose the wrong planet.
But so I could see the 1, but then also I think about it. I'm like, how many aliens were there actually? Then now it's scary because of the sheer amount of them. So it was like, there's so many competing factors for this rating for me. So that's why I was like, okay, middle of the road, depending on which aspect of it. So that's how I kind of settled on my 2 out of 3 for that one.
And with your less is more comment too, I feel like they were almost going that route towards the very end.
I thought so too.
Yeah, where like Meryl comes into the room and you can kind of just like see his reaction to what's happening in front of him. I think it would have been so cool if we would have just kind of like saw the shadow in his eye of what was happening and just saw him attack it from his perspective. That would have been really freaky, I think.
1000%, Stephanie. You hit it on the head.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't need to actually see it. Like, I mean, it's still kind of shrouded because the light is shining behind it. So it, casts a shadow on his face. But that was still too much.
I don't know. I feel like with the light and the fact that it's like shooting some sort of like mist from its wrist, kind of like Spider-Man style. I was like, could this alien actually be trying to give him his form of an asthma inhaler? Like,
he's trying to help him.
He's like, like you took off my fingers, but I have this mist stuff. This kid didn't do it, so.
He's like, actually, guys, I'm just here to help a little bit.
Why do you have so much water?
They're misunderstood. Maybe the real villains are humans.
Some of the times I'm like, they keep telling them that the aliens are hostile. They're hostile. I'm like, we haven't seen them do anything.
Right.
Are they though? Are they though?
Right. They did knock over some trash cans.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
How dare they?
In circles.
Disturbances.
Yep. It did claw the floor, so tore up the wood floor in the kitchen. That's a problem. But
new homeowner, too. You're like really aware of like what kind of repairs you're going to have to be doing on this.
Yeah. And you ruined a kid's birthday party. Like, that kid needs therapy. He's probably still in therapy now, 24 years later, because of that one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for watching this video, and thank you, Will, again for being our guest today. Be sure to check out Red Treehouse wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, guys. It's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And you can follow us on social media using 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.